To welcome everybody to Dress Your Website for Success. Okay, so just a quick introduction. If you guys registered for this presentation, it's likely because you have these questions already, such as what split-second judgments are people making about your website? How do you improve the stickiness of your website? Or how do you keep visitors on your site? What are the components of a successful website? And how do you stand out from your competitors? And the answer to that is actually great website design. It answers all of those questions. So that's because users decide whether they find value from your site within a fraction of a second. And eye-catching website designs instantly incentivize users to stay on your website. It literally takes less than a second for people to decide whether they want to continue to be on your site or just hit the back button to whatever search results they were coming from. A successful website includes components that help a user take a desired action on your site, and that those desired actions ultimately support your overall firm goals, like attaining more clients, growing your firm, and providing more information and tools for existing clients. And then we'll actually break that down a little bit further in the presentation. And you can stand out from competitors with a personalized website because it makes your website more memorable. So if something is personalized specifically to you and your firm or your location, people are more likely to remember it and help you stand out versus anyone else that's appearing in search results. Okay, so today we're going to be going over a few things. Of course, we're going to be covering website design best practices, components of a successful website, 4 key ways to personalize your website, and then a checklist for success. And then at the end, we'll be providing you with a few resources to learn a little bit more about website design and any other marketing questions you might have. All right, so let's talk about design. Design is basically not just what it looks like, although that's an important component, but also what it feels like, and design is how it works. And this is a quote from Steve Jobs, who did a very good job with his own design of phones and technology because we all use it today. So, a successful website should be comprehensive. So, it should include a strong call to action on every page. A call to action is basically you're telling the visitor what you would like them to do next, whether that's contacting you, downloading something, some sort of maybe a calculator, using a calculator, basically just telling them your user what to do, right? A call to action. It should have educational content with bullets and headers. It's easy to skim and scan, especially because a lot of um, websites are now viewed through a mobile device. So by breaking the content up with formatting, then it makes it a lot easier for a user to quickly scan the content and decide whether it answers their question. You'll want to utilize forms and other lead capture tools to engage visitors. So a form is basically any type of I guess, layout where people can insert their email address, name, phone number, their contact information so that you can contact them after the fact. And once they've submitted their information, that's what we call a lead. So that's what a lead capture tool would be. Um, of course, it should be functional. Confirm that website loads quickly and from any device, particularly mobile devices. Um, you'll want to You'll want to check the website or QA the website in order to avoid any glitches and confirm things like links or pages or everything is working correctly, especially ensure that the forms are working correctly and captures the data that you want it to capture, going to the place where you need it to go to, within whether that's a database or whatever it may be, to make sure that everything is working well on the back end. And then, of course, ensure that the navigation is clear, organized, and intuitive. Another thing is your website should be accessible. So you should provide a perfect viewing experience on any size screen and write your content in a way that's easy for your target audience to understand. Of course, because you work with taxes and there's a lot of changes that have happened, particularly in the last couple of years. You want to ensure that your content is current and up to date. And so that refers to the actual copy that's on there, referring to dates and deadlines and all of that, but also their design changes from year to year. What is more popular from one year may change to another. So you'll want to ensure that your website appears up to date because that actually supports the trustworthiness of your website. if your website appears out of date, then people will interpret that as maybe a website that is probably not as trustworthy, and they're less likely or less willing to provide their contact information, credit card information especially, um, any data that their personal data they'll be less likely to provide. So that's the importance of keeping a website that has a one of the latest designs. So that's why it's important to adhere to the latest design best practices, and then of course include the latest technology and optimization to help with search ranking. Um, I've already gone over this a little bit. You'll want a website that's visually appealing, and then of course usability. So that includes interactive tools, making it easy for visitors to contact you, and being mobile friendly with a responsive design is the way to go so that people will have an easier time viewing your website over a mobile device. Okay, so let's talk about some of the components of a successful website. So each of these things help corral and navigate your user to take a desired action on your website. Include a header so that it gives people an idea of what each page is about. A call to action tells people what you want them to do on each page. Not every single call to action is going to be asking them to provide their information or fill out a form. It can be as simple as just clicking a button to another page. It just depends on the context of the page. Of course, provide navigation so people can actually navigate around your site. A slideshow gives them a little bit more visual information. Of course, content is important both for users and SEO. Sidebar gives the user information, and this is more used on a desktop rather than a mobile device, but it gives them additional navigational options. And then a footer just provides all of your contact information or any other information you wish to provide so that people, if they navigate from one page to another, have consistent information to know where you're located, how to contact you, and so on. So this is where each of those components would be found. A header, you can see, is up here. The navigation is typically across the top of a website. If it's on a mobile device with a smaller screen, it's going to be a hamburger menu, typically on the left side. And then, of course, this is the slideshow that it gives visual information, such as images. Maybe it'll give it like a skyline of where you're located. A call to action, so the users know what to do. The content will be in the middle. Sidebar will be off to the side on bigger screens, and then a footer down here will just give a little bit more information about your firm, how to contact you. All right, so let's talk about 4 ways that you can personalize your site. So first, think of this as kind of a roadmap to help you ultimately get the website that you want, that's specifically created for you and your firm's needs. So the first part is going to be strategizing. You're going to want to set some goals, understand how changes to your website support those goals. You want to organize, so make sure that your website is intuitive and easy to navigate. So you want to organize all of the information on your site. Personalize your content, which we'll be talking about a little bit more, but that can basically mean that you're tailoring your content to your target market. And then, of course, pick a website design or create a website design that represents your brand and helps you stand out. Okay, so let's talk about strategy for a second. In order to strategize, obviously, you're going to want to create a plan, right? So you'll want to conduct a situational analysis to identify where your firm is currently. So what that means is you'll have to just get it all out. What services do you offer? What differentiates you from competitors? How are you marketing yourself? You want to kind of understand all of that so that you know what to then create or then take that information and create your goals from that, right? So determine your SMART goals. SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. So that could mean, where do you want to be in 1 to 3 to 5 years? Is your goal to attract more clients? Is your goal to be more profitable from your existing client base, or maybe a little bit of both? Do you want to prepare your firm to be sold? Those are all things that you're going to want to think about. And then, you want to think about what do you think is attainable and realistic? How are you going to measure that? So maybe there's a gradual increase of clients that you, or new clients that you want to attain every year or every 2 years or even every month. Just think about increments like that so that you have some way to understand where your benchmarks are and how your website is then performing so that you can compare it to the benchmarks that support your goals. Um, one of the most important things is to define your target audience. Some people are, or some accountants prefer to specialize with small businesses. Others are okay working with individuals. Some are specifically tax only. Others, there's a lot of different ways to structure your firm, as you know. So then what that means is once you know what kind of services you offer, obviously there's a specific type of audience that will be attracted to those services. So you'll have to define what that audience is. I mean, I've had clients that work specifically with startups in Silicon Valley. That's their niche. So they understand that their target audience is going to be, you know, small business owners in Silicon Valley. And then, of course, you'll want to create calls to action to support that based on your audience goals. What do you want visitors to do once they're on your site? Typically, that means having them contact you, but then there's also options to use specific calculators, download specific types of information, or read types of information that is of interest to them and whatever niche you're serving. So you'll want to think that through. Another thing you can do is to look at your competitors. So that's important because knowing who your competitors are and what they're offering can help you to make product, services, and marketing stand out. So you'll understand how your services compare and contrast to what your competitors do. It will enable you to set your prices competitively and help you to respond to rival marketing campaigns with your own initiatives. So, you know, this doesn't happen in a vacuum. You have to be aware of your market, so that addresses any concerns that your market may create for you. And you'll want to use this knowledge to create marketing strategies that take advantage of your competitors' weaknesses and improve your own business performance. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about target audience. Your target audience is made up of people that can understand and engage with what you are saying, right? So if you're speaking specifically, take the example of living in a specific area. So in Southern California, we have this area called the Inland Empire. That's not something that is, you know, known to people outside of Southern California necessarily, but if you're targeting an audience in the Inland Empire and you use that verbiage on your website, then you are specifically speaking to that target audience because only that audience would understand the jargon that you're using. Um, so that's just a small example of like how you would customize your site for your target audience. Essentially, they're people who come to you for a reason, right? They're people who will keep coming back to you and bring new people if you communicate with them effectively. Okay, so then once you've defined your audience, you're going to have to think about how you're communicating with them, and that's done through content. So you want to think through content that adds value in some way and is generally received well by consumers because it solves a problem um, in their lives or teaches them or something, right? So if you are or here's a good example on the image. If someone is looking on how to pay off their credit card debt quickly, you can provide that information with a calculator. Okay, so here's an example of a call to action. Basically, you're telling people what to do. So in this example, you give them the option to click to call or fill out a form. The thing with calls to action is you don't want to put too many on one page at once or in one specific area because, again, you don't want to give people too many options. So you just want to corral them to the action that is of most value to you on a specific page. So here's kind of a visual sort of representation of what we were talking about, right? So you start with a situational analysis, kind of move on to defining your target audience and your goals, and these can be kind of interchangeable. And then finally, that will define what calls to action to put on your site. Okay, and at this point, because this is now going into how you want to lay out your content on your website and the best design practices and all that, I'm actually going to pass this over to Lyle, and he's going to be speaking to this part here.
Hi, Alexis. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Alexis. That was great. So go ahead and let's um, so we're talking about organizing the data on your website, and we use this phrase, utilize a billboard approach to taglines. What that means is, something somebody can read as they're driving by. So it's really important when customers land on your site that they understand what your business is and who you serve at a glance. So our websites are designed to provide you the ability with simple taglines and headers that declare instantly what you're doing for people, and they can see at a glance. We put the really compelling content above the fold. So if you're not familiar with that term, if you're on a website that you can scroll down, the area above the fold is when you first land on that page, what you see on your screen. The area below the fold is what you see when you roll down the screen. So we want to make sure that people see the important content and message right up top on the screen. Organize the page intuitively. It makes it easy to find information. Some customers want to provide a lot of data for their users and a lot of content. Others want to really simplify their site. Both are good goals. It is important, though, that you don't take the content off because Google searches that content. And in that previous example, if you have somebody searching locally for how to pay off your credit card, you'd like them to find your site, even if the credit management is not your goal, but providing that accounting service to those people and making your site visible in traffic is really helpful. So that content helps drive people to your site. And then, we think through the visitor experience when they arrive on your website. We often call that the user journey. And what we want to do is we want to take visitors on a very intentional journey, and that journey benefits us, the CPA. And that journey usually ends with, you have enough information, now contact us. That can be a free consult, that can be a consult, or just request a quotation. So you want to make sure that as you land on that site, you have a clear path to what you want them to do. So here's a great example of a billboard approach. Here's a website for a company in New Hampshire, and they're if you're familiar with the East Coast, New Hampshire is known for its white mountains. So here we have a memorable message and an image that instantly relates to people in the New Hampshire, New England area, and they understand that this is a local firm that's going to serve them well. It's personal, it's local to them, and it's not so busy. We're not creating a paragraph for them to read about New Hampshire, but just really relating our business to their location. And critically, you want to sum it up in just a few words. 10 words or less is a really good target. And the less is the better. Usually, you can get down to 6 words. That'll be great. So again, we talk about putting some of the important information above the fold. In this case, for this site style, we declare instantly that we're an accounting and tax firm, and our 4 sort of headline services that we provide are services for individuals, business services, tax, and QuickBooks. These are really the heavy hitters for accounting firms. Some firms will provide auditing services, and so you want to promote that auditing service above the fold. So obviously the navigation should be intuitive. We use familiar functionality to people. They shouldn't have to learn a new function to navigate your website. So on both desktop and iPad and mobile, you want to organize the content in a really intuitive way. People understand the idea of services and newsletters, guides, and advice and resources. We create individual page for those services. We link those pages through the menus and through other pages. And just be really mindful of the fact that people should be able to find at a glance where these content pages are. So some keys to usability, really, clarity is the key, providing relevant content, providing a nice visual hierarchy. We sometimes do that with what we call landing pages, where a page for tax services, there may be a summary page that has a listing for the different tax services. And then as you drill down into particular tax service like tax representation, you would drill down through these landing pages. That creates a really nice visual hierarchy that's very intuitive to the user. Obviously, we want the text to be consistent and readable, and that's why we have a staff of writers who provide excellent, consistent, readable, error-free, grammatically correct content for your customers. User experience design, it's often abbreviated UX, is that process of enhancing this user satisfaction with this website as they work their way through the content. So we spend a lot of time making sure that the path to the goodies, the path to the call to action is really clear and intuitive and obvious with no surprises. Now, mobile versus non-mobile, I hope nobody still has non-mobile websites out there, but we do see these on a really regular basis. You might be surprised to know that over 50% of your organic Google search traffic that comes through Google comes through an iPad or a phone. So it's really critical that your website looks great on iPad and mobile devices. So of course, all of our new websites are fully responsive. You get a same familiar website, whether you're on the mobile device or on the desktop, and it works great. It also improves your SEO. As you probably know, Google will penalize you in the rankings if you don't have a mobile website or responsive website. So some do's and don'ts, really, focusing on some of the don'ts. Don't clutter your site with unrelated content. It's just a rabbit hole that people will fall into, and instead of sending you a contact form, they'll spend time sifting through this non-relevant content. You don't want to have too many navigation options, your tabs. You don't want to overcomplicate it with unnecessary features or widgets. Number one, some of those features like videos and slideshows, sometimes those will increase load time. For every half a second it takes for your site to load, you lose about 20% of your traffic. So it's really important not to go too crazy with some of these doodads and features that will slow down your site. The other problem is you don't want to create this scenario, which I describe as a school of fish, where you've provided so many options and buttons to click that your visitors don't know what to push. And what we want them to push is to contact you. So it's not necessary to fill white space with extra unnecessary text. In fact, it's more beneficial to strip away some of the unnecessary content so that they really clearly and easily can find your expected call to action. Again, you don't want to go too crazy with fonts and colors. They can be distracting. Also, they can lead to legibility problems. You don't want to have a white on orange or yellow site where fonts are difficult to read. Some people used to try to manipulate their Google rankings by stuffing their pages with lots of keywords, and that simply looks sloppy and unprofessional, and your users will see that as a bit of a gimmick and they'll be turned off. They won't be encouraged to stay on your site. And of course, create good content or have somebody create good content for you. You don't want to steal content or designs from other customers or companies. Alexis, would you like to continue with the personalization?
Sure. Okay, let's talk about personalization. So a few ways to personalize your site. We'll go over those. Um, you can add any additional personalized website to your copy. So like I mentioned with that Inland Empire example, you can personalize the copy that's already on your site so that, to include maybe more colloquial terms that are specific to your area, maybe learn a little bit, add a little bit more of your voice to the content. Localizing your website is also one way to personalize. Like Lyle said, you can add slideshows, but not too many because that will slow down your website. But if you're selective about your slideshows and the imagery within them, then it's yet another way to do it. You can maybe add a photo of your staff if you have an office, or maybe a landmark that's, specific to your area. It's just a great way to personalize. And then, of course, update your core pages, and I'll cover those in just a second. Um, you can add on to a CPA Site Solutions website with some of these widgets. Of course, be very selective about which ones you decide to use. But, we do have these available to you, so you can add testimonials, FAQs, articles, a countdown timer, particularly for tax accountants. All of these are available to you so that you can add a little bit more flair to your site. And then in terms of localization, like I mentioned, it's free and easy to personalize. You can add your own photos, buy your own stock imagery. Here we have a great example of a skyline. So, that's an option if you especially live in a very large city. Um, the point is, show your location, express your personality, appeal to your target market. If you're targeting Silicon Valley, maybe you can add some techie imagery on here. But most importantly, just highlight what you do, what you specialize in, what sets you apart, because essentially this is what allows you to not only stand out in a crowded market, but just, stand out against particular competitors as well. There we go. Okay, so I mentioned core pages. These are your core pages, and you'll want to ensure that these are front and center in the navigation, easy to access, because these are going to be the main drivers. So the first is the home page, right? The first page that everyone lands on when they enter your website. About page, which talks about you, your services. So you're going to want to have a page that allows people to, at a glance, look at the services or your top services and then drill down further if they want more information. Customer reviews are essential because they essentially incentivize people to contact you. And of course, the contact us page gives all of the forms and information that people can use to actually get in touch with you. And okay, we're going to talk about customization. We actually offer a lot of different levels of customization at CPA Site Solutions to fit whatever it is that you need. So we do have a la carte branding packages. It includes all customization options such as localization, slideshows, a homepage logo. You can also use your own design. So our experts like Lyle are experienced in HTML and CSS, and they will translate your design and integrate with our tools. We also have a premium custom option. It's a design upgrade that features numerous custom elements to bring your website to the next level. If you're already a CPA Site Solutions member, this is available for Gold and Platinum service levels. And then of course, a full custom design. This allows you to have complete creative control, work with one of our design experts, and select a bunch, different color palettes, fonts, navigation menus, layouts, so that you can make your website your own. So a few reasons to customize your website. Of course, showcase your brand. Every firm is unique. You have your own voice. You have your own way of talking to your target audience. So that's one way to express yourself. So that kind of leads to attracting the right clients to your firm, right? You want to be able to select the right people that actually are looking for your services, or maybe looking for the services that are most profitable for your firm. So I know that individual tax clients are, they come once a year, but maybe you're looking for more of a year-round client with different types of services, so that would be the right client for you. You can build an instant rapport, so it'll create a great first impression so that you can begin online. So that kind of creates a comfort level with people by the time they actually reach out and talk to you. And of course, you can stand out from everyone else in search results. Okay, so just a little bit more detail on our a la carte. I won't go too far into this, but if you found a ready to go to design, just let us know. We can help you save time and create a design for you. Um, if you already have your own design, we can help you translate that to our website editor and create the site that has you've already chosen. And then with the premium design, you can choose your choice of responsive designs. You get a custom color palette. You can personalize your homepage slideshow, and then you can customize specific pages on there. Plus, you know, if you have a specific font style, especially one that, say, for example, is the same as whatever custom logo you have, you can select that. So it's a very cohesive website. And then you can select two of our website widgets. And of course, with a full custom design, we'll just work with you, whatever it is that you're envisioning. If you already have a website in mind or certain elements, then our experts would just work with you to bring that into fruition. Okay, so I'm not going to go over this entire checklist, but this is something that you can take to the person that's working on your website, and they'll very likely recognize these items on this checklist, so they can help you run through this list and ensure that your website has all of these items so that you have the best setup for your site. Okay, and then finally, some resources for you. Of course, you know, we try to stay up to date with everything and let you know what's going on in the digital marketing world for accountants. So there we do have a blog, on-demand webinars that cover website design, but also other types of digital marketing channels such as pay-per-click, search engine optimization, social media, and you can learn more about each of those types of channels here. And then if you prefer a format that you can read, we have the same type of resources in a white paper format, which are PDF guides that break things down for you and again cover not only website design but other types of marketing channels. And of course, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call. Our number is right here on the screen, or you can go to our website and fill out a form. And, you know, one of our internet marketing advisors will reach out to you as soon as possible. If you have any questions, not only about website design, like I said, we do also offer SEO, pay-per-click, and social media services. With social media, actually, what's been really popular lately are Facebook ads. We offer that as well. So if you're looking to advertise on Facebook, it's a really strong tool to use, so I just wanted to mention that as well. Okay, so let's see. It looks like we don't have any questions, so hopefully that means that you guys, this presentation was easy to understand and you'll be a little bit more curious about maybe some of the resources that we have. So thank you everyone for joining this afternoon. It was a pleasure to give this presentation. Lyle, thank you so much for joining and breaking down some of those design um, ideas. I'm sure that everyone here took away a lot from that. So for everyone that's on here, thank you for joining us this afternoon and have a great day.